So picture this. You've planned like the perfect weekend hike, right? But you wake up to just a total torrential downpour.
Oh, the absolute worst.
It really is. And, your brain obviously knows it's just weather. But your body is suddenly just vibrating with sheer frustration.
Yeah, it's a completely physical reaction at that point.
Exactly. So welcome to today's deep dive. Today, we're actually looking at why logic just completely fails us in those exact moments.
And the source we're using to figure this out is, well, it's a little unexpected.
It really is. We are using a YouTube story from Gulson Kaya's channel. It's about a tabby cat named Figaro.
Yes, a cat.
Right. And we're using this to discover a perfectly structured guide to adult emotional regulation. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, so to give you the quick 10-second setup here, Figaro the cat is stuck inside, and he's super bored because his favorite humans, Levent and Fatima, left for the day.
Right, and Fatima and Figaro have this like really special non-verbal bond, so he's really feeling the separation.
He totally is. So he desperately wants to go out on the deck, but his mom, Golson, says no because it's pouring rain outside.
Which is just the classic denied expectation, right? It's that awful moment where an external force completely shuts down your perfect plan.
Oh, absolutely. It's universally frustrating.
And what I really love about this source is how it focuses on the pure physicality of that disappointment.
Yeah.
Because, Figaro can't just rationalize the weather.
No, of course not. He's a cat.
Right. So his disappointment bypasses logic completely. The text describes this hot, prickly feeling traveling from his tail all the way up to his ears.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, his fur puffs up and his heart is just thumping like a little drum.
What's fascinating here is how brilliantly the story illustrates that anger is, it's an embodied physical experience way before it is a cognitive one.
Wait, so it's body first, brain second?
Pretty much, yeah. Your brain's amygdala detects a blocked goal, and it instantly just dumps adrenaline and cortisol straight into your bloodstream. Instantly. This happens before your prefrontal cortex can even, process the word rain.
Which leads straight to what the story calls the angry zoomies, right?
Yes, the angry zoomies.
So Figaro is racing across the rugs, jumping on the sofa. He's feeling this intense, destructive urge to just knock over a plant.
We've all been there.
I mean, I have to push back a bit here, though, because it's easy to look at a cat or even like a toddler and say, oh, they have the zoomies.
Sure.
But when I get furious about a derailed project at work, I'm not running across my living room rug. So does this actually translate to adult psychology?
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
I mean, think about your own physical reactions when you get that frustrated.
Okay, fair.
Do you ever pace the room? Or maybe aggressively scrub the dishes? Do you feel this overwhelming urge to just slam your laptop shut?
Oh, yeah. I definitely do the aggressive dishwashing.
Right, well, that is the adult version of the angry zoomies.
Yeah.
Your body is suddenly flooded with all this mobilized energy meant for fight or flight.
And it has literally nowhere to go.
Exactly. You are physically vibrating with trapped electricity.
Okay, I see what you mean. So how do we actually stop the angry zoomies before we metaphorically or literally, I guess, break the furniture?
Well, in the story, Golson does something brilliant to de-escalate the whole situation. She doesn't yell at him.
No, she stays super calm.
Yeah, she calmly opens the heavy glass door, but she leaves the screen closed, and she lets a tiny cold mist just hit Figaro's nose.
And reality kind of sets in. The text notes that his anger shrinks, like a balloon losing air. It's such a great visual.
It really is. And that cold mist isn't just a distraction. It's actually a sensory shock.
Really? How so?
When you're in an emotional flood, a sudden physical sensation forces the brain to shift processing. It moves from the limbic system, which is your emotional center, back to immediate sensory reality.
Oh, wow. So it literally short-circuits the anger loop.
It completely does.
But the reality check is really only step one, right? Because Figaro still has to process all that leftover adrenaline.
Right. The cortisol is still there in his system.
Yeah, so he shares his specific cat steps for emotional regulation, which are taking a deep breath through the nose, counting to 10, and retreating to a calm down corner.
Which for him is under a soft little side table.
Yeah. But I have to be honest here. Telling a genuinely furious adult to take a deep breath and count to 10 usually just makes them way more angry.
Oh, it sounds incredibly patronizing.
Exactly. It really does. So why are we looking at toddler steps, or I guess cat steps, for complex adult problems?
Because the underlying biological mechanism is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Even if we, dress it up differently as adults.
Okay, break that down for me.
Sure. So when you take a slow, deep breath, you are mechanically stimulating your vagus nerve.
Which does what exactly?
It sends a direct signal to your brain to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. And that basically acts as the physiological brakes on your body's stress response.
Ah, I get it. So counting to 10 isn't actually about the numbers at all.
Not at all. It's just forcing a delay.
Okay, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, it takes about 90 seconds for an initial chemical flush of emotion to pass through your bloodstream.
90 seconds. That's it.
That's it. So counting, or, retreating to a quiet space to just be still, is simply a structured way to run out the clock on that cortisol spike.
Which perfectly validates the core message of the source. It is perfectly okay to feel angry when things don't go your way.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But it is never okay to be mean or destructive while under the influence of that chemical spike.
Right. Like you can have the big feelings, you just can't break the plants.
Break the plants, yell at your coworkers, same thing, really.
Totally. You ground yourself with a sensory reality check, mechanically engage your nervous system's brakes with a deep breath, and just ride out the chemical wave in a safe space.
Because it's a universal biological reality, whether you have pause or, a 401k.
I love that. Which really brings us right back to how you can apply these simple, grounded steps in your own life.
Oh yeah, back to the ruined hike.
Right. We all experience sudden, visceral frustration, but it makes you wonder about how we handle it.
Definitely.
Because as adults, do we completely ignore our own physical warning signs?
We usually do, unfortunately.
Yeah, like when we feel our own version of that prickly tail, do we just let the angry zoomies take over and cause damage?
Instead of having the self-awareness to just pause and find our own calm down corner.
Exactly. Something to think about the next time your plans get rained out.